Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and every fucking other person who listens to this show. Welcome to the Joe Rogan Show. I mean, no, the Squares to the Round Table podcast.
Well, we have one guy on pot, so that's...
If you like what you hear, I have Ivan Rivera, and I have Mike Boyle, and I'm Tim Stein. If you don't, then you're listening to some other podcast that's more farly high rated that you can be upset about.
Greetings, one and all.
Greetings, and salutations.
Oh, it's summer. It's hot.
Is that what it is? Is that where we're going here? It's summer, it's hot. That's where we're at.
That's right. It is. Hey, shall we talk about the weather? Shall we talk about the government?
Are you, trying to, basically say we should talk about Jackie Mason or something?
No. Oh, yeah, Jackie Mason died. He was, 90? He was 92, right?
Yeah. You know, great comedian, but I had a real bad run-in with him in real life.
Yeah, I think. Remember you might have talked about it. I don't remember. You might have mentioned it. So.
You know, I respect the work, but man,
But you had a bad personal experience.
Yeah, no. He came into a lot of I worked for.
A lot of people have had bad experiences with him. In fact, Jackie Mason got himself kicked off of Ed Sullivan for giving him the finger.
Yeah, I mean, there was a long time where he was kind of blackballed, and then he kind of came back for a bit. And and then, like I said, this was much later in the career, obviously. We could all blame him for that bad Caddyshack 2 movie too, if we want to.
I would, but he was the gas station owner in The Jerk. That's how I remember him best.
He's in a couple of things too.
He's done a lot of roles.
You can play yourself, play the jerk.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not supposed to say anything bad about try it. That's why it's funny.
God
I haven't
rest
put
his soul.
anything on my feed.
I know it's not befitting to make fun of the dead, but when you kind of left that kind of a legacy out there, it's kind of hard to deny,
I mean, in fairness, he is a pioneering comedian in some ways. He is he was kind of a rebel of sorts at times. Like you said, he gave Ed Sullivan the finger. Nobody gives Ed Sullivan the finger. That it was that kind of situation. So, to me,
I'm sorry, you're Ivan. You're 20 feet away from the mic.
I'm sorry. I said, you know why he gave Ed Sullivan the finger? You know why, right?
No, don't
not
know.
Not really.
I'll tell you the story. Okay, what happened was...
So step into the mic, please.
Okay, what happened was...
Out of the wind tunnel.
Yeah. What happened was that he was brought on originally to do a 5-minute skit, but then what happened was one of the acts ran long, so he was down to a couple of minutes, but he had prepared for 5 minutes of material. So as he was up on stage, and there is video of this. While he was up on stage, the program director kept running his fingers in circles saying, okay, speed it up. Okay, speed it up. Okay, speed up. And then the last line he said, he goes, and of course, I got the director, give me the finger, a finger for you, a finger for you. And then he stuck his finger out to Sullivan, and a finger for you. And that sent Ed Sullivan through the ceiling. The cameras were swayed, a commercial hastily put on, and then that was it. And it wasn't up until I think it was several years later that Ed Sullivan said, okay, Jackie, for what it's worth, try to come back, and I guess I still owe you this time, and I guess I did take it away from you, although you should have, fingered me on live television.
You fingered him on live television?
Whoa.
That's nasty.
Whoa.
Where's the FCC?
Well, he fingered him on live television. I mean, the camera didn't see his finger go up, but you could tell when he did it, the shrieks that came out of the audience, along with a heavy breathing of, it's something like, what,
So he fingered him, and then there was heavy breathing.
You fingered him, and Ed Sullivan was heavy breathing, pretty much wanting to kill the motherfucker because of the fact he had fingered him on camera, which not only did the audience see that, but he saw that, and of course America was left wondering because his finger was off the camera frame. But lucky for that, if any blessing came of it. So Jackie Mason was totally ousted for a long time after that incident.
He was on the blacklist.
I would say sphincter say what?
Yeah, well, right up there with, I think my other favorite Ed Sullivan moment was when, he was asked to change a word in Light My Fire. He didn't want to say.
Oh yeah, from the Doors. Yeah,
from the Doors movie.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Jackie Mason.
Yeah, my favorite part of that was that Ed Sullivan goes, "You will never come on, Ed Sullivan. You will never come on my show again." And then Jim Morrison said, "But we already did." So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot
Jim Morrison was a little bit different cat than
Jackie
a little bit.
Mason.
Jim Morrison didn't exactly need to be on Ed Sullivan ever again.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Unlike poor Jackie Mason, which at that point he was, after what happened to him on TV, he had the worst time getting booked.
Yeah. Couldn't get national promotion for any of his shows.
Yeah, well.
Then he ended up being the Aardvark in the Ant and the Aardvark. He ended up
from the Pink Panther cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
That I did not know. I just know he's in that really shitty Caddyshack movie.
Yes, we need to.
If
he's to be buried, be sure the master tapes of Caddyshack 2 are buried with it. That was a terrible sequel. I didn't even finish it.
Oh, I did. I saw it in the theaters.
I never saw. Yeah, I never saw that.
I saw it in the theaters.
Oof.
I legit, in fairness, initially I'm like, okay, Caddyshack 2. Oh, Jackie Mason. This could be interesting. And
no.
This is really not good at all.
Yeah. If you look into the history of how the movie Caddyshack was made, it's a miracle they got anything out of it, what they partied all night and then just filmed whatever they could and sending dailies to the studio, and are like, what is happening? That's
another example of Chevy Chase just being like, yeah, I'll take my check.
It was that's what happened in the Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds, when they were all out there filming that movie, and they said it was one long party.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
Animal House was talked about in that manner as well.
It was one long party. I mean, literally, everybody was wired from start to finish.
Yeah, but Jackie wasn't really in the movies. He wasn't in a lot of films.
No.
He did a lot of voiceover work, but not really a lot in the way of motion pictures.
Yeah.
Did a lot of television. He was more of a nightclub guy. He was kind of like your Copacabana guy. He was like your Las Vegas guy. That type of shit.
So, well, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do we do? Ivan, what have you been doing this week?
Well, what I've been doing this week?
More spinning wheel drama?
Well, excuse me.
Oh, you're excused.
That's got to be that Kush stuff.
Mm.
Or Maui Wowie.
What's the weed? Uh-oh. All right, maybe we'll let Ivan get some air. So, what did you do?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
All right.
Okay. I got this. Okay, so, yeah. As far as the spinning wheel was concerned, I had a talk with Jimmy today, and I spoke with my good friend Eni from California. How you doing?
Was his brother Meanie?
No.
And their friend Miney.
And their cousin Mo.
Boy, that girl's gonna kill you if she hears this, you know.
Okay.
Oh, wow, we're really scared. She's across the pond.
I barely listen to the show. And I'm the one who edits it.
Okay, but I'm just saying, no. Edie's not across the pond. Edie's in California.
Okay.
Yeah. She's still got to get on a plane.
Yeah, I know.
Get a bus ticket.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I talked with her today, and I talked with Jimmy today, and I talked with everybody and got certain things lined up. I closed the page off. You know, I turned it into a private page so that way I could start going through the ranks and kind of figure out who is, you know, there and then who is dead weight. And of course, maybe if I eliminate, because again, here we go. It's just like my page. You know, we got 2,400 people on this page, of which maybe we see at the most 50. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like,
I think we need beheadings.
Yes. Public executions.
Public executions.
Yeah, public executions. Yeah, definitely got. I gotta build the gallows now, and I gotta find a really sharp blade, and I gotta go find all.
Not really.
Wood.
You could just do it digitally. You could get pictures of them, and then get a digital guillotine, and then put the video up on there and be like, and now you're gone. Boom, and let them see it long enough, and then you kick them out of the glove.
Be gone, knave.
Yeah.
Right. Go back to the shadow.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Let me see. I was with my mom.
I got your turbo man right here.
I was with my, me and Julie was with my mom over the weekend and sat through 6 hours of Outlander.
I've heard that's good. What's?
It is a really good. It's a really good and engaging story, but it's one of those types where you really have to stay close to it, so that way you can keep ahead of what the story is all about, because it's run simultaneously through certain parts of what are considered modern day, and then certain parts which are considered back in the past, like in the in the 17th century. Okay. And, I'm not going to give any spoilers to it, but if you like that kind of fantasy, period piece type of, storytelling, and then, have it split between the factions of the past and the, present, which they presented in, it's really very good.
Oh, it's really developed by Ronald D. Moore. So he's done some sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, so basically, he's I got to see like I said, 6 hours. I would say 6 episodes of season 2. So now I got to catch up with season 1 to really get involved as to how it all comes together. But from what
I hate when people do that to me.
When you start in late and you got to go back to find
you got to
context.
go back unless you. Yeah, you got to have people who really can give you a primer at that point, because it's like, I really don't want to go back.
Oh, no, I understand that, but at the same time, I got in on it late, so I...
Right, but if someone's gonna make you sit on something, and you gotta start in season 2, that person almost by law has to, be like, okay, I'm going to explain everything to you.
Oh, it's still going on.
My mom did give me a pretext as to what happened before I ended up with a long dive in. So, yeah, she did give me a synopsis of, what started the movie, what started the series, and basically, it's about a woman who visits.
It's always about a woman.
A woman who visits these rune-like, kind of like these stones in England. And she manages to pass through one of the stones and finds out that she was the wife of a very famous Highlander. Okay, and then you
is
take
his name Duncan?
No, his name is not Duncan. No.
Okay.
No.
There can be only one.
Hey, there can only be one.
That's right. It's like a time travel romance fantasy then?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
But it's very well written. It's very well paced. It doesn't stay in any one context for too long a time, but that's because it moves the way it does. And I'm kind of glad it moves in the pace that it does, because if they really went into some internal stuff with the storyline, it would have bored me. But it kept me at the edge of the chair wondering what was going to happen next. So that's a good thing. So I got to watch some Outlander, which that was really good. Okay. And then what else is there? I opened up a new place called Chef Special on Friday, which was really, really nice. The Asian food there was really good.
Apparently, I haven't cooked Asian food now.
Yeah, okay. And then it's a really nice place. It's got an outside deck, and it's got a round bar. And it's got the it's really, really not really extravagantly designed, but it's modestly designed. But in its modesty, it really looks tastefully done.
So you own an Asian food restaurant now?
Well, no, I'm spinning for a cocktail bar. It's called Chef Special. It's a cocktail bar.
You're at a bar. Okay. It's a restaurant bar?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But you said you opened it, so it's yours?
Well, I opened the first night there as a DJ. I was the first guy.
They just opened up?
Yeah, they just opened up a little while ago, and I ended up opening up their DJ service there.
I really thought we had an in for free egg rolls now, Mike.
I thought Ivan. He said he opened the place, so okay.
Well, that's just DJ terminology. Like if I'm the first DJ, at Cafe Mustache. Well, I'm opening up the Cafe Mustache this evening. It's just linked.
Okay.
So, that's it. And then what else? What else did I do? It's just been...
Did you play Turning Japanese at any point while you were at the Asian place?
Did I play Turning Japanese while I was at the Asian place?
Pretty sure he didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Really?
So? Yeah.
Okay. That's impressive.
Whoa.
I was just joking. I thought maybe you didn't.
No, but I did.
Okay.
I mean, I know the context of the tune, but I think a lot of that has been lost in 40 years.
No, it still means the same thing.
No.
Whatever. I guess nobody must have caught it because nobody was laughing and nobody was giggling or anything like that. I saw a lot of people bopping around and dancing around and stuff, digging it. So I'm like, okay. Let's all sing it. Let's all dance to a song. Let's dance to a song about masturbation. Sure.
Hey, people have danced other kinds of songs like "Afternoon Delight."
Well, yeah, but
that's even more obvious than Turning Japanese.
Yeah, well, "Afternoon Delight," the dirty little ditty that it is, sung sweetly by a group that used to be married to one another, but then after the success, they all ended up divorcing each other. That's why there's no more records by,
well, records from them either.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what happened with ABBA, but oh well, that's another story. Anyway,
that's the song that they use in PCU when they lock all the people in the like all the big donors in like this one room and they can't leave and they get stuck in there, and what's his name? Jeremy Piven basically like puts on Afternoon Delight and like throws away the key so they can't get in there, and then they like they use whatchamacallit, what's the thing, the club, and they put it on the door so they can't get out. so Afternoon Delight is playing on repeat for hours on end, and they're stuck in this room.
Oh shit! It kind of reminds me of my night, my prom night when the 8-track in the car that we shared with our friends who drove us to the prom was stuck on Channel 4, and we had to listen to The Dog and the Butterfly by heart ad nauseum all evening. They're making out in the front chairs, and we're sitting in the back.
Well, you said Ken you had to turn the radio off then at that point.
Well, no, because we were in the back seat. They were in the front seat. Oh. And they weren't about to turn anything. The only thing they turned on was each other in the front seat. So, yeah, that wasn't going to happen. So, after about 20 takes of that, me and then ex-wife Linda, we ended up leaving the car and ended up, walking the woods just to get away from that whole thing. But yeah, records ad nauseum, that's definitely a punishment, especially a bad song in turn of all that, Other than that, no, nothing else really out of the ordinary. I just did a little, I did a rockabilly. Oh, it's funny. It's funny. I had the cowboy hat going and I had the really bad accent and everything going. That was a hysterical thing yesterday.
Oh, good. Glad you had a good time.
But we had a great time. It was a good time.
Mike's like, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
It was quite the hoedown.
And well, again, if it was Dusty Wood, it hasn't been touched with a 10-foot pole. It hasn't been touched with a 10-foot pole in a long time either. So there you go.
I don't know if the British got the gist of what I was doing, but I had all of my American friends like.
Oh, those British people don't understand our cowboy lingo here in the United States. Ha 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 ha.
That or our double entendre.
British people don't know humor.
Dusty Wood. I came up, y'all down here listen to Dusty Wood over here now, and of course, I go ahead and I smoked everything in between Oklahoma and Texas. Why, I went ahead and I put a hole in the middle of a joint, and I lit up both ends, and I smoked them both at the same time. But, here we go with some more music for you there. And, of course, watch out for them critics, because they is out there.
Well, okay. So,
wasn't it Stephen Wright who used to talk about the Jewish cowboy Bucky Lipschitz? I think so. Like, if there was a Jewish cowboy, his name would be Bucky Lipschitz or some shit like that. I can't remember.
There was a song about a Jewish cowboy called The Ballad of Irving.
Yes, that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I think I have that on one of my Dr. Demento CDs from.
Yes, that was on the old Goofy Gold back in the day on the 8-track. Yeah. KTEL presents Goofy Gold. I'll leave that till later because I figure we're going to want to talk about Masters of the Universe He-Man a little bit later in the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So both of us have seen it. Ivan has not.
Ivan, you got Netflix.
Yeah, I do. Say.
Yeah. Gotta get Ivan on this shit.
Yeah, I know. Well, you watching Outlander.
Oh, that's fine. It's from that. I know they're still making that show. What you up to, Jeff?
What else did I? Okay, so last week was busy. I was involved on Clubhouse with a speaking competition where I was a judge and a coach and we won't know the results till sometime next week sometime next week. Or actually, is it this week at this point? I can't remember.
Who's gonna get the grand prize?
Yeah, the grand prize is $5,000.
Nice.
Shit.
So, yeah, we had about 250 different people do 5-minute presentations. We had a couple DQs, and then we narrowed down to the top 30-something. And, like I said, at one point, we had a lot of people come through to listen to the rooms and check it out. At one point on Friday, I was the MC in lead mod when the room got up to almost 400 people. So, it was crazy. There were some great talks. There's some stuff where I'm kind of like, why did that get through? But some of it, in fairness, some of it was based on, if you were strategic, like if you spoke, they had 4 days of preliminaries and that basically it kind of came down to who was in certain time frames or in theory it was about, what hour you were in. And if you were the top score that hour, that might be it. So some people who went early had going early had some advantages if you were really good. Going later, yeah, there were more people being procrastinating and going, hey, let me see if I can get in at the last minute, needless to say. But, I coached some people who were in the semifinals, and we'll see how it goes. I'm curious. I don't know. It's kind of funny because they did add a fan vote to the thing, and I don't know. I mean,
that can swing either way.
Yeah, and in fairness, there's some again, this is the first time this is being done. I hope to see more stuff like this, because I think that it's definitely doable, and I think that, it was a lot of fun, and it was cool to see, and I think there's an opportunity to do more of this. It's just a matter of, figuring out a way to figure out, how to do beyond break even, if you know what I mean. So, so there was that. I did some role playing over the weekend where, you guys will get a kick out of this. So I'm running a module, and literally in the module, it talks about how to infiltrate this Imperial base, where there's stormtroopers and all kinds of stuff like this. Okay. And I say to them, I'm like, oh, and by the way, there's these uniforms that you can use to get into the base. Hey, I know. Let's go hijack a truck that's coming in.
Just walk in uniforms. What do they do in every episode of Star Wars? They use the stormtrooper outfits.
Which, by the way, there's no truck in the module to hijack. But okay. Okay, sure. You can hijack a truck in the module. Okay.
But there's no truck.
Yeah, well, guess who had to make up a truck? Because after a while it was like, okay. When you say it for the third time, and you're like, and they're just not paying attention, they just don't care anymore. It's like, okay, I guess we're going to have a truck. We're going to have a supply truck that's going to come through.
So this becomes a wish item after many...
Well, because they can't get through their thick skulls, and all they got to do is put on disguises, and they can sneak in.
Yes.
Right, yeah. That's what I was sitting here trying to figure out, and you actually put a voice to it. Yeah, get a fucking costume and get in.
Not costume, it's a uniform.
Well, same idea, but the point being is, yes, Ivan, there's only so many times where it's like, you don't want to be that person who's like, just fucking use the uniform and do it.
Lead a horse to water.
There are occasions, there are occasions like when we're running along on time where I'm literally like, no, that's totally wrong. You're going the wrong way. Here's the direction you need to go. Like if you're running out of time, and you got fights coming up that you need to get to and shit, then you do stuff like that. But we had time, and they just kept insisting that they wanted to go hijack this truck that was supposed to come through. And I'm like, all right, fine, we'll do this. So I decided.
Well, we're taking the lazy man route, all right?
Well, no. I'm like, all right, fine. We'll have a truck, okay? I'm like, here's the best part. The best part is, so I figure, right away they're asking me questions about what kind of truck. I'm like, I don't fucking know. It's a fucking truck. Like, does it have a canvas top? I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, they put a tree down in the middle of the road. And I came to the conclusion that they put a tree down in the middle of the road. There's the two guys. Hold on a second. Let me finish. This gets better.
This happened.
You guys are going to love this. You really are going to love this. So, literally, it's one of those trucks where it's like, it's kind of like one of those convoy trucks where it's like, okay, there's the two guys in the cab, and I'm like, all right, there's going to be at least two guys in the back, sitting in the back with all the supplies.
Well, the cargo, yeah.
Right, with the cargo. I mean, in fairness, It's just food. I just had it as foodstuffs. But, okay, there's two guys in the back. Okay, and they're kind of like sitting on benches. Kind of one of those things. All right? So, they take out the problem. Two of them get into the front seat. There's 6 of them. I asked the other 4 what they're doing. Now, one of them is jamming communications. Okay, fine. So, 3 of them... So here's how it goes. 2 of them knock them out. 2 of them get inside the cab. One of them is jamming. And I think if I got my math right, did I get them all? Or no, there's one more. So I think there's one more. No, I'm sorry. I know what it was. That's what it was. So 2 of them have shot, so they acted that round. And this is their surprise round. One of them's jamming. 2 of them shot. Okay, so there's 3 guys left.
Right.
Of the 3 guys left, what are you doing? One gets in the driver's seat. Okay, fine.
Yep. Okay.
Now we're down to 2. Second one gets in the passenger seat. Now we're down to 1. Right. What does the one do? I can't even remember, but he doesn't go to look in the back.
Nobody looks in the back.
Nobody looks in the back.
So nobody went to the back of the truck. And he's the only dude, but he didn't go to the back of the truck.
Nope. So nobody's thought, wait, so now I'm sitting there, and they've heard something happened. Okay?
Yeah, you guys.
And I'm like, so what do you guys, it gets fun. So what are you guys doing? Okay, we're gonna just kind of get ready to start the truck and get moving, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, you know how there's like that little hole between like the cab and inside the inside like the where the like the supplies are?
Yeah. Like the storage area.
So I give them both perception checks. And they're like, what do we need perception checks for? You'll see. They roll. I'm like, it ain't need high rolls. I'm like, what would you like to do about the stun grenade? What stun grenade? The one that's like right now that just flew through that window and is flew through the back and just landed at your guys' feet. At which point,
before it explodes.
Before it explodes, because I'm giving them time. One of them decides, I'm going to chuck it out the window. Oh!
While
it gets better. Which direction will we be chucking it out the window? And the person said, I'm like, well, maybe it's, I tell them, I'm like, okay, throw it out the window. And I'm like, I need you to roll damage. Roll damage for what? Roll damage. It's like, why? It's not like I hit anybody. Sure you did. Who did I? Oh. I look at the other, I said to this other player, I'm like, you need to roll a soak. What? You idiot! Wait, then it gets better. Now at least they realize there's a combat. Okay? So they go to roll initiative. They don't win initiative.
Oh boy.
The next one.
This is going to end badly.
No, it doesn't end badly, but it is funny.
It sounds like it.
Because here comes the next stun grenade that comes through the thing. And I'm just like, they're so annoyed. And I'm trying not to laugh. Because I'm like, all you had to do was check them back. All you had to do was check them back. That's all you had to do.
There's troopers in the back of the truck.
No one sat there and said, no one thought, hey, let's go check them back. So now there's another stun grenade. So one of them decides to leap through after the stun. I swear to God, it was so funny because and the best is they're so annoyed. They're so annoyed. And they're more annoyed at me than not themselves. I mean, it was just really funny. I mean, it didn't take them long to mop up the 2 guys. I mean, they're goons. Yeah. They're basic, typical NPC goons. Mm-hmm. By the end of the round, they were both out. No big deal, if you know what I mean. It was just really... No, I take it back. They were not out by the end of the round. They had to go one more round because he didn't knock the guy fully out. But it was really funny because, it's like this thing that I'm like, all right, fine. This shouldn't take that long. I swear to God, it took 4 rounds and it was hysterical. Just hysterical. All I had to do was someone go, hey, someone check the back. Not one person. There's 6 of them. There's 6 of them. Not one sits there and says, hey, someone should check the back. I swear to God. I mean, I think that's the funny part is, so like I said, I had to run this one group and it was so funny because it was and I'm not surprised because how do I put this? Lately there's been times I've been running groups and I'm like, oh God, this is going to be 4 hours of nightmarishness. Cause it's you're looking at who you've got as a list of players and I'm like, someone get me lots of alcohol now.
And you recognize some of these players and...
Oh no, I recognize all the... Right, I know. I recognize all the players, and I'm literally sitting there going, "Oh God!"
You know,
if you put them in a paper bag, the paper bag might win.
Oh boy,
the paper bag might win. These are people. There's a part of me where it's like and it's funny because one person didn't play, and there's one person who usually plays with that group that has these theories, and I think it's because she's a girl that she'll have these crazy. It's like she's like, I think this is what's going on, and like for the first 2 seconds of when she talks, I'm like, yeah, no, not even close. Like we're not even not talking close. In the game of hot and cold, you're in Antarctica, not close. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the best part is everybody at the table's like, oh yeah, that sounds plausible. And you're like, and you're running the game, and you're like, do I sit there and just say, there's a part of you where you're just like, do I tell them they're a bunch of fucking morons?
Give them the Samuel L. Jackson stare.
Well, the person is because we're online, so it's not like, and we're playing all audio based. Oh. So it's like, it's not like I can give them the Samuel. If anything, it's great that I can't. Because otherwise they'd know what the fuck I was looking at. I mean, because otherwise I'd be,
what the fuck?
You know, there's the part where I can mute the thing going, these people are the dumbest fucking people on the planet Earth. Watch one of them will be listening.
Hope they're not listening.
Like, yeah, seriously.
Along with Eni.
Yeah, maybe Eni is one of the players who knows how to count.
He's not one of the players.
But yeah, so it was funny. So yeah, that happened. And then I did do some playing on Saturday night. So, and that group was okay. But again, I got stuck with a couple of people where I'm just like, okay, stop. The problem is sometimes when you're playing role-playing games, certain people start to get into go a little far-fetched in the name of character points. So then it's just like, fuck me, shut up.
And it drives the group towards a part of the story that's not related at all.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, this is what my character was thinking.
Kind of right up there with monologuing, right up there with,
if it makes sense,
reaching for straws within your character's makeup and everything, and still trying to throw dice against it. It's kind of like, really?
I can't. Here's the problem. I can't sit there and go after that too much, and the reason I can't sit there and go after that too much, and Ivan's laughing because he already knows what the answer to the question is. There have been occasions where I have been the notorious problem. And when I say notorious, I mean notorious. But there's a difference between dumb and ingenious in breaking a module. Which is usually how it goes. It's not stuff that's dumb. It's stuff where literally the GM is literally going, how did that's not supposed to happen. How did he do that? Like,
he even amazes the GM, you're
right.
Just kind of like, yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, sometimes because I think fast, I may be thinking faster than the GM. And sometimes that does not help the GM. The GM would be better off to be.
Then the GM's got egg on his face.
Well, the problem becomes
how to go past it.
No, it's not even the GM has egg in his face. It's the GM decides to do something and has not logically thought through what he was thinking about. But I've already figured out and contemplated what he's thinking about faster than he did. And I go, oh, well, in that case, we'll do that. And the GM would be like, what?
Okay, then.
What? Wait, what? What did you do? Wait, I had that all figured out. How did he just, what the?
Yeah, well, it just goes once again. Yeah, when you're burning that type of thought process, it gets out there.
Well, the trick is, as a GM, is you sit there. If someone was GMing me, the real trick would be, don't immediately jump to a conclusion. Sit there and take a second and go, let me think on this for a second.
Analyze the situation, yeah.
Analyze the situation before you do something you're going to regret.
Think it through.
Think it through before
Ivan's
you
making
do
it
what
through
you're
without trying to just breathe, Ivan, please.
Right. Well, Ivan's laughing because he can imagine how this is gone. Like, I swear to God, there's one. Okay, so I'll make this quick. There's one time I'm playing at a convention, and I find this out. So I'm playing a module at a convention, and it's a Star Wars module. And the thing is, we're supposed to go to this one planet, and the thing is, there have been multiple modules where we run the blockade. No big deal. In this particular module, we're not supposed to run the blockade. We're supposed to leave. And this is all supposed to happen, like, on page 1. It's supposed to be, we're supposed to be done on page 1. It's supposed to take, like, no time. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, the GM doesn't explain it well enough, so it doesn't, like, but the GM is supposed to explain this. There's, like, 100, like, you come into the system, and there's, like, hundreds of TIE fighters. At which point my reaction would have been, shit, let's leave. That's not what he says. He says there's a Star Destroyer there. Well, okay, we've dealt with Star Destroyers before. No big fucking deal.
Yeah, we'll just gotta get close so they can't use their big guns.
Well, no, not that. It's like, it's not. Wait, let me finish. Ivan, let me tell a story.
Yep.
Give me a minute. I get where you're going, but this is why you'll laugh at it, which is, well, I mean, okay, fine. Maybe something's supposed to happen here, and something's supposed to happen. Fine. Just go in. And we'll just fudge it as we go along. We'll just, when they open up, we'll be like, oh, we're a cargo ship. No big deal. So we get there, and they're like, we want your documentation and blah, 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 blah. And I can't remember what I said, but I had a critical fumble on the roll, of course.
Uh-oh.
Which they're like, they're like, oh, I know what it was. They're like, I know what happened. It wasn't a critical fumble. They asked me for documentation codes. That's where I screwed up. And in Star Wars, in this version of Star Wars, there's two things that can happen. If you roll a 1 on the wild die, they can either take away the die or they can create a complication. Well, the GM thought it would be cute to create a complication in which this was like a code that was for an Imperial Moff or higher medical. This would be like a high bigwig, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're coming out there to escort you. Ooh. Escort us for what? Wait, what the hell did I just do? What did I do? Wait, go back and read this thing. What did I just do?
And this is not even in the module.
Oh no, this is the GM has decided to make this up since I flubbed the roll.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sitting, and it was funny because I've got 5 other people at the table. What did you just do? I have no idea what I just did. Let me find out. Give me a minute. So I go and look back at the code, and he tells me I looked it up, and this time I make the roll. He tells me that this roll is for like people like Tarkin's a Grand Moff.
Yeah.
These would be people underneath him.
Right.
So this is a really impressive code because
right.
It's like it's carte blanche. And I'm thinking about this. I'm like, son of a. I'm like, wait a minute.
Ooh.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, I could...
I'm like, yeah, exactly. Mike's already knowing where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So, he clearly did not think this through. And I'm like...
He pretty much handed it to you.
Yeah, well, the next words on my mouth are, okay, so I download the code. What? I download the code. He's like, oh, no, the code's gone. I'm like, oh yeah? I got some points that says otherwise. So I'm burning through stuff I'm not supposed to burn. And everybody at the table is like, if you get this, we all get it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, not a problem. So now I got this code. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, now, they're like, all right, smart guy, now what are you going to do? I'm like, all right. I got this. Look, there's this virus and it's contagious and we couldn't tell anybody. We have this moth in the back. And we didn't want anybody to know, but yes, he's here, and we need to bring him in here. I'm glad you were able to be available, and you have a medical team ready to go. Great. Send us the Moff's personal passcode.
Whoa.
Okay, I have the skills to possibly do this if I spend a force point, which allows me to double all everything in my rolls. Fuck it, let's go for it. And P.S., I'm keeping this if it works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I roll it, and I make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we're headed down to the planet, with a freaking TIE Fighter escort down to the planet. And everybody's like, and what are we going to do now, smart guy? I'm like, and as everybody's looking at me about trying to figure it out, I see this look of panic on the GM's face. And I look at him, I'm like, and I look at him and I go, we're not supposed to be here, are we? He goes, no. I'm like, do you, like, need a minute to, like, figure out what you wanted? Because it just so happens the author happens to be nearby. And I'm like, do you need a minute to, like, go figure out what your plan is and what you're going to do? Should we take, like, a 10-minute break? And he's like, he's like, yeah, I think we need to take a 10-minute break. Mind you, we've just started the module. We haven't been playing for longer than 20 minutes. We need to take a break in a 4-hour module already. And so we're taking a break, and I go walking past, and I happen to catch, I can't remember if it was walking there or walking back, he's explaining to the author of the module what happened, and all I hear is, he did what and did where and got where and did what? How did he, and then I hear, what did he, and I'm like walking by, I didn't even hear the rest of the conversation, I can't stop laughing, I'm like this, like, and the best is, now the entire table's turned on me, they're like, worst comes to worst, we're just turning you in. I'm like, what? You were all on board about 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
But this is the kind of stuff that to your. That's why I kind of laugh when it's like I kind of have to sit there and be like, sometimes I'm okay with it, but when people are stupid with it is when the problem is that's the problem. It's when.
And it's partially his fault too, because he didn't properly explain the situation.
Well, yes,
so you kind of tripped over your own feet and landed,
Well, and then he tried to get cute.
Yeah.
Then he tried to get cute when I made a fumble and give me a code that he thought would screw us up a little bit more and make more trouble.
And it ended up advancing you.
Oh my god! The best part is, so there were a couple people who had that. So I swear to God, I used that code for and nobody figured out what to do. It took them forever to figure out what to do. I used that code for 3 years to break games left and right,
breaking
all
modules.
the time, until somebody finally sat there and said, "They figured out you had it. They changed the code. You can't use it anymore." Oh,
but it's an older code. It checks out.
Yeah, exactly. I tried. I'm like, well, can I create a variation?
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. It was so, and the rest where it was like, no. I'm like, oh, okay.
I got this code. No.
It was so funny too, because everybody's like, hey, we need the code. Okay.
That's right.
We need to it's like literally, it's like, you are trapped. There's a Star Destroyer, there's TIE fighters everywhere. You're not leaving. Go ahead, just take off. What are you talking about? We're not going to get anywhere. Just take off. What are you talking about? We're not going to go. Don't worry, we'll be fine. And the GM's like, okay, this is going to be ridiculous combat. No, it's not. I play this code. And the GM's like,
what?
And the combat that was supposed to take 3 hours.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Here's this bad combat we were supposed to deal with, and it's like we were supposed to possibly get captured, and no.
No.
My favorite here's where Ivan will get abused, and of course my character, who's not a force user or force sensitive, had no problem with selling that code to other people in the game. Anyway, she performed for a whole lot of money. For a whole lot of credits.
Oh, crazy.
But yeah, so yeah. No, I mean, there's a fine line between fun and brilliance and wackiness and just plain stupid, and that's the problem.
Well,
you get all facets of that in roleplay.
Yeah, and you do, and that's the problem. The problem becomes when you don't have. The problem becomes you have to have some level of dynamics and
some structure. Just some basic structure.
It becomes a situation sometimes where it's like, sometimes it's a question of in-the-box thinking, sometimes it's a question of out-of-the-box thinking, sometimes it's a matter of...
Yeah, but you being the professional role player that you are and everything, Jeff, think about it for a moment where you're saying, what do you like better? The in-the-box, read it off of the page, approach the whole gaming device, or do you actually like to create it as you go, as you proceed with whatever module you're involved in?
So the problem becomes, because it's an ongoing campaign, is that you have some unifying standards, and these aren't necessarily always things that I have written, and so there's a uniformity to things about what is and isn't allowed in the campaign.
Right.
There's always that. Why did that person allow that, or why was this person allowed to do this, or why was that? But at some point, there has to be somewhat of a snapback point. So it's very different when you're dealing with something like that than, say, I'm running a game on my own, and, okay, the players have decided to go off in the left field.
Okay, so that's something that becomes part of your discretion, in relation.
Well, and the other problem becomes, see, back in the day when we used to run that campaign, it used to be no matter what happened at the table, you still got your XP to advance your character. Now, a lot of the people who write these modules have certain parameters that you have to make in order to get all of the total of the points that you're supposed to get. So as a result, you can't do things like, hey, screw this module, we're going to end up doing something else entirely. They basically have nerfed that concept pretty much.
So in order to make it consistent, you have to follow that module.
Right.
For the most,
not to the letter, but approximately.
For the most part, people usually try to do the module. It just becomes, there are some times where you get groups. And in fairness, if there's somebody who's playing, who quite frankly they're just playing it as a one-off, and you may never play again, they're going to do whatever the hell they want, and it is what it is. The problem becomes when you have players at the table who aren't playing it as a one-off, and that becomes where there can be something.
And they have goals, and they want to be sure that they get all the XP, and they want to properly finish the module. And
okay, just a question, and because I have done the role playing thing just a tiny bit, but I've got a basic, very basic understanding. But when you have a game going, when you have something completed with all of your players and everything like that. Say, for example, a guy like me comes in just out of left field and wants to enter the game. And what capacity does one go about? Do I just become a one-off, or can I actually be incorporated?
Well, you got to create a character, and then
you got to
work from there.
So in the game system that I'm playing in, where we're playing this campaign. This campaign's been around for, like 20, 30 years at this point.
Wow.
But the point is that anybody can create a character from scratch and start to play the game. Now, in fairness, you can take that character and never play again, or you could continue to play that character and build out the character and make the character a better character.
In other words, the hit points and the role.
Give him more powers, or give him better weapons and whatnot.
Right, exactly.
And depending on if he's a necromancer, if he's a wizard.
A necromancer.
What?
Yeah, probably not in Star Wars, but
not in Star Wars, I know what. Yeah, we know what you mean.
But there's different. Now, in fairness, it's funny. There's something about our campaign that does frustrate me, because there are certain character templates that were available at different times that are no longer available. That, to me, I'm like, that I get it, which is some of it's time frame and timeline, and change out different ones and make it more interesting. There's part of me where it's like certain ones should be staple, and they've decided not to do that.
Should be considered, classic within the game, within the template of the
game. As with any gaming system, the rules change, and people, they prevent people from taking advantage of the system.
Yeah, well, of course you can upgrade the game.
If you say so.
If
you say so, Mike.
If the rules say you can do it, or the rules don't say you can't do it, then you can do it.
Yeah,
but also
I'm the latter on that, by the way.
Yeah, but also too, all rules are meant to be broken, so you gotta.
That would also be a part that I play a lot too.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, in fairness, to your point, Ivan, usually I can run with things. There's only been one time where I've ever had a situation where somebody did something and I was not able, and it threw me for a gigantic loop. And it was funny because I was running kind of a home campaign with a bunch of people and we were playing at my place. And, this isn't when I was in college. This is like when I'm an adult. I have other things going on in my life. I spent time to work up material. I literally created worked up an entire idea for a planet and had notes and everything. Literally.
This I know firsthand from your forays into the studio, man, with the whole banana.
The point being is, they were supposed to be on that planet for multiple sessions, possibly for a really long time. Okay? I did not check somebody's character's backstory.
Oh no.
And something happened. So first of all, they end up down on the planet. And they get into a fight when they get there, they run into Mandalorians.
Okay.
And they had some bad rolling. In which it's funny, they hit the Mandalorian with the ship gun and it did no damage. But that was all but that's because it was bad rolling. So now they're all freaked out and they've decided that fuck it, we're leaving, we're not coming back here, we're just gonna leave. And I'm like, oh, so I have somebody hail them about coming down and to meet with them. And I created, for once, a benevolent Hutt who I actually wanted them to meet. Well, somebody put in their character background that they had an aversion to Hutts, and the rest of the group didn't want to stay. The rest of the group didn't want to stay to begin with. And then this person was like, we can't go there. I have a total aversion to Hutts. I won't ever go anywhere near a Hutt. So they said, okay, we're going to leave. So within the first 15 minutes of play, they're like, they've left I'm sorry, not 15 minutes. Within the first hour. And we're going to be there we're supposed to be playing an all-nighter. And it's like we're talking multiple hours, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Within the first hour, they have now left the planet.
With no intention to go back.
And no intention to go back.
Oh, God.
And my favorite is they're like, okay, okay. They're like, all right, now what? And I'm literally, and it was so funny because I'm like, we're going to take a break. And I went to go in the other room and I just was fuming. And it is funny because somebody walked over. One person walked in and sat down next to me. He's like, the module's on the planet, isn't it? Yes, the module's on the planet. You mean the module we have the planet we have no intention of going back to? Yes. And the person's like, you're pissed, aren't you? Kinda.
Yeah, we're kind of fucked here.
And I'm like, and they're like, and he's like, well, we're all kind of waiting to play. Fuckers.
Yeah, okay.
Are you kidding me? The next, I swear to God, they're like, oh, you want to? I'm like, oh, you all want to play? Oh, you come out of you come out of hyperspace, and there's 3 Star Destroyers and a whole shitload of TIE Fighters. Roll initiative, and they're all like, this seems a little harsh. You think? It's the only the few times I've ever done it. I'm like, this is what happens.
Revenge.
This is what happens. I had a whole thing planned, and you guys. What I really should have done. Now that I think about it, in hindsight, what I should have done was You land on a planet. It just so happens to be almost the exact same planet with an entirely new name. That's what I should have done.
That's right. That's what you should have done. Just cross out the name on the planet.
I was just so pissed at that.
Yeah, like a marker big.
Yeah, right.
I was just so pissed at that point. I was like, anyway, so that's kind of my, I'm sorry. And I did pick up a few more. I did watch a couple more seasons of Bosch. I'm almost up to season 7 finally, which is the final season.
You're burning through that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about, got about 10.5 episodes left of the whole series. But, it's a decent crime detective thing. They do add in some other characters and some other storylines at times, and, with other characters. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, it's worthwhile. It's interesting. I've enjoyed it. Is it, the greatest detective drama ever? Maybe, I don't think so, but it's certainly a very well written one, and it's certainly a very well acted one and executed well. I've enjoyed it. And the characters are interesting enough to keep you interested.
Sounds a lot like a thing I want to get back to. I mean, I got to see one episode of it, but I mean, the episode was like an hour and a half long.
Bosch? No, Bosch isn't really. No, there's no episodes that are like an hour and a half. They all are pretty much within.
Okay, well, it felt
within an hour or less.
Yeah, well, it was an hour, and it was Peaky Blinders. I really got into that. Which I thought was really, really good.
Right.
And and of course that's a little bit more. That's a little bit more like mafia-based type of stuff. We're talking England, and they got a group of dudes they call Blinders. It's all about the unions. It was placed in 1990, and just a lot of really gritty, well-written, just straightforward type of approach with the presentation of Peaky Blinders. Yeah, definitely want to get back to seeing the rest of that. So that impressed upon me quite a bit.
But I figured you guys would get a kick out of the role-playing story. Because swear to God, it's like, we're going to hijack a truck. Not even there's these uniforms. Yeah, we're going to hijack a truck. But
what, you got the uniform, you just walk in.
Just a reminder. You have these uniforms that you can use.
Friendly reminder, you got these.
Here's how we're going to hijack the truck.
Oh, God.
We're hijacking a truck.
That's
We're hijacking a truck. Dave
is not as...
Nobody checks the bag. Not one person's like, hey, let me check the back. You know what the best part is? At that moment when nobody checked the back, I should have done something really, really ridiculous. And put like some sort of power armored stormtrooper back there and like blows off the top of it and blows the shit out of them in the middle of the forest and blows their cover. I could have done that. I've been like a total dick.
No teddy bears to help you now, rebel scum.
I had really fun with that. Alright, I should, I'd have had fun. They'd have been annoyed, but hey.
Some concessions need to be made for the time spent, okay?
Yeah. I don't know. I said, hey, I was impressed one of them decided to jam comms. That was impressive to me.
Well.
Cause really, reality, I was like, okay, I know what their first.
At least the two guys, if they thought, but well enough, that about the two guys in the back trying to radio for help.
Right, those guys couldn't radio either.
Right.
That was their first try. Was, hey, we're under attack. Wait, this isn't working. Okay, toss the grenade in there. They're being dumb. Oh, funny. All right, Mike, what do you got? What do you have this week?
I had quite a bit this week. Watched season 2 of The Movies That Made Us. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Season 2 was Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Pretty Woman, but I haven't watched the Jurassic Park one yet. But some stuff, especially with actually the most interesting one was Pretty Woman, because that's the one I'm familiar with the least. Forrest Gump was interesting. Back to the Future was cool. Of course, we knew all about Eric Stoltz and how he started and how Universal didn't want to give up Michael J. Fox because he was filming Family Ties, but they wanted Michael J. Fox. But when they were filming, they were catching on quick that Eric Stoltz did not. He was playing too straight. He was playing too serious, and this is just after he got notoriety from Mask, which was a dramatic role, and Eric Stoltz was just not. They realized they're making the wrong movie, and they had to get rid of him. But that was interesting. I thought neat all the information and tidbits you don't know about Back to the Future and how the story got chopped around and got changed. Like the time machine was originally a refrigerator.
Wow.
Sort of like what you call the sort of like the phone booth in Bill and Ted's.
Something
like that. But
that's probably why they decided to go the other way with it. It was probably somebody said, "Hey, you can't."
Well, they had to cut the budget, and they said, "No, we need to make the time machine car." They had to make a time machine a car, and like Ford wanted to promote the Mustang, so the time machine might have almost become a Mustang. Which, in the 80s, early 80s Mustangs were not very muscular.
They were boxy.
They were just boxy. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that was good to watch. So that
I still wanted one as a teen, though. I'll tell you that now.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a Trans Am when I was a teen.
Well, I'd taken that too. My point is I'd have taken either one.
It's those doors, man. It's those doors.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Watch the movies that made us. It's on Netflix. I have not yet watched the last season of Toy Store Near You. It's on Amazon. I haven't watched that yet. I think one of the Chicago stores has been featured this season. Saw a friend of mine for dinner. He's the friend, Andy. He's the one who couldn't make it to the barbecue when we saw Black Widow. Yeah. So I hooked up with him, and we had a good, nice visit, had a good time. But he was with his family at the zoo. I was thinking we talked about that. But anyway, he's doing good. Went to a little toy show in New Berlin, which is up by Waukesha, and that was interesting. But that was small. But I found a few old Marvel G1 comics, like Marvel. Because when Transformers came out in the 80s, there was Sunbow, which was the cartoon, the toy line, and the comic book. Marvel had the comic book, and the original comic book run was 80 issues. And I'm right now about more than halfway done finding the whole run of the 80s G1 comic. So I got a few more of those to finish that set. I also got a Marvel Legends Stan Lee to go with my Marvel Legends figures.
Nice.
So got to have Stan Lee there. It's in the one they made is from when he's playing chess in the first Avengers film. It's that outfit. It's the jacket. So just been playing more Mass Effect too in between. That's fun. It's replaying, and I sometimes fall down YouTube rabbit holes of the fun dialogue between characters. Just fun. But other than that, and of course we watched. I watched Master of the Universe because that's the thing. I was at the toy show Sunday morning, and there's people talking about it. And I gotta avoid spoilers and avoiding spoilers on social media. So I'm like, I gotta watch this because I don't want to get spoiled. And so I sat and watched all 5 episodes in one sitting last night.
Well, that's not hard. I mean,
there were only like 30-minute episodes, and it was only 5 episodes, so it wasn't. It's like a movie, pretty much. But but other than that, no, that's pretty much been it from me.
Well, I guess we can get into that then.
I guess we'll get into Masters of the Universe Revelation. on Netflix.
There we go.
And I got to tell you, I was very impressed.
In case people have not seen it, there's definitely going to be some spoilers.
Yeah, there
here.
will be.
So you may want to fast forward for a little bit.
Maybe about 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Maybe a little longer.
Maybe a little longer. Did you finish all 5?
I did.
Okay. So, Ivan, you got next week. If any of this finds interesting to you, then you should pop on Netflix and watch an episode, see what you think.
I have a feeling after the conversation, Ivan's going to want to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we knew this project was coming about a year and a half ago, I think. It was before the Rona hit that they announced it.
Right. That's right.
And I don't know if there's either going to be, I suppose there's going to be 10 episodes.
Yeah, there's a second set
of 5
episodes that's going to either come out later this year,
I'm hoping,
or sometime next year.
I'm hoping,
and I'm not sure how their plan, plan works out.
The autumn, the winter season. That would be cool.
So yeah, I said between social media and just being on the internet in general, and then going to a nerd convention, sort of a little comic book show. It was a small show, and it was mostly comic books and Funko Pops. I'm like, I do not collect Funko Pops. I do not understand why.
People love those things, though.
I know, and they're creeping into everything because Funko's got it right with the licensing. I mean, there's something for everyone, and I got one as a gift from a friend of mine last year, and I have it prominently displayed. But it's not for me.
I have an Ant-Man one that's still in the box somewhere in my car that somebody gave me.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would have value because I've never opened it.
Yeah.
Well, anything got value.
I said okay because I was gonna watch it Friday, but I was watching the movies that made us, and then Saturday I was like kind of lazy. I'm just want to play Mass Effect, and like, okay, and then by Sunday morning, I'm like, there's this, and then the surfing YouTube and people analyzing I'm like, oh shit, so I can't watch it. So I'd say I need to watch this show, and
well, it's funny you say that because I watched the first episode. I was like, I'll watch the first episode, and then I gotta go because I gotta go run a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched the first episode. I'm like, I need to watch the second episode, and I could be a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
And to be perfectly honest with you, it was so funny because I'm like, I wonder if I could like call some kind of bullshit. I don't feel good, and then like not run for the next 4 hours and watch all of this because I really would like
that first
to watch
episode.
It
they grab
now. You. Yeah, no, wow. The first episode does it. I mean, it was so funny too because I'm watching it and I'm like, where are they gonna go from? Oh my effing god!
Yeah. We don't need a full rundown of the story, but I just say that this was well thought out, very good character beats, great storytelling. You get thrown right in, and anyone who's even like tangentially familiar with the world knows who does what in the show. And of course, you could tell between the bad guys and the good guys because of the way the toys were designed. They were kind of goofy, just to be totally honest. But how all these character interactions, these great moments between these characters, was really what sold me. And that first episode, where what do you do in the world of He-Man when He-Man and Skeletor are gone?
Yeah.
So what happens?
Now we've now put it out there for Ivan, which is yes. In the first episode, by the end of the first episode, there's no He-Man, there's no Skeletor.
They're gone for lack of a better term. So what happens to Eternia?
And in fairness, that first episode, I mean, literally, I'm watching the first episode. I'm like, wow, this is there's a lot of action. There's pretty much an all-out war. There's pretty much an all-out fight. I'm literally watching the first episode going, okay.
They throw you right in.
I'm like, because I kept watching and I'm like, and in fairness, I had read nothing and I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, I went in cold, which is the best way.
I went in cold. And literally, I'm like, watching this and going, because as I'm watching, I'm like, what could they possibly have to do for another 4 episodes, and by the end of the first episode, like, oh my, that's
yeah. And and of course, when before He-Man and Skeletor disappear, the secret's out that he's Prince Adam, but he's gone now, and now the king and queen are distraught, and Teela's sense of betrayal, and the story focuses mainly on Teela.
Well, the other thing is that basically they banished Man-at-Arms.
Yeah, from
the kingdom,
because King Randor finally finds out that Duncan, which is Man-at-Arms, has kept the secret from the king that He-Man is Prince Adam. So,
and Teela pretty much walks away from everything, and she's supposed to be the new Man-at-Arms.
Yeah, this was the interruption of her Man-at-Arms ceremony where Duncan was going to retire or something. So, and Teela's played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, which she did a great job. We'll get into. I want to get into the voice cast here in a little more detailed here in a little bit. But the story was really great. I think it was well thought out, and the fact that we're dealing with an Eternia without its greatest hero, its champion. That's what they use. So and Mark Hamill's great as Skeletor. He did a great job. Not that
he was a little too joke. At times, I thought he was a little. He was
we were waiting for that, that funny quip, because that's Skeletor's character. When he just, sometimes he would just be a little silly at the times. But yeah, he did. It was like Joker light for him, and he did fine. Cool action, great storytelling.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting to see the characters that they chose to kind of be the core characters they built around. And not necessarily just Teela being the main character in all of this, but some of the other characters that they chose. Because to give perspective for Ivan, basically what ended up happening is that because of this fight, magic is basically evaporating for eternity from Eternia and the entire universe. So they basically need to find a way to apparently that sword that He-Man has,
the sword of power that He-Man holds up and
got split into 2.
Yeah.
And so they have to go get both versions of the sword. One version is in heaven, one version is essentially in hell.
Yeah.
And the people that they put together to do this is it's like Teela, a new character apparently who is her lesbian lover. I mean, that's just the best way I can put it.
I did not see a lesbian relationship there.
Oh, she's very. That's very Xena. What's her name?
Xena and Gabriella kind of.
Xena and Gabriella, like all over it. Yeah. Oh no, that they're knocking boots. They have to be.
Okay.
With the way that gets played off.
Yeah, she's a new character. One that's not familiar with the lore.
But Evelyn being one of the main characters.
Yeah, and Evelyn got some dimension too. And
Beastman gets some serious time.
Orko,
honestly, what they basically did what Kevin Smith did with Orko is spectacular. I think he steals the entire show of the entire 5 episodes. I think he's the best character with the best character arc in the show. Is Orko.
I kind of like Duncan, but you're right. Orko had a great arc.
Yep, absolutely.
And major spoilers. If you're already listening, go watch it. Turn it off. Turn this off. Go watch it and come back.
Yeah.
And can we talk a bit about the animation style, because it was anime inspired, but it was still sort of Western kind of roots.
There's something a little off by it though, but I was okay with it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. They're just some of the ways some of the characters are drawn. I was like,
too shiny.
Yeah. But great action, and I got some feels in some parts. There was
absolutely, and obviously serious cliffhanger at the end. Well, I'll tell you now, we learn more about the history of Eternity and Grayskull and all of these things than we ever did. I thought the interesting part is it's very clear that the objective of this was to establish other characters within these masters of the universe.
Right, and He-Man is not the first and only protector of Castle Grayskull.
Well, and it's interesting because there are a couple comments like by Evil Lynn about, we were really never scared of He-Man. We were always scared of Duncan Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
More than anybody. Some of the villains that they've chosen, that they chose to use. I mean, there's a lot of different characters that get seen.
Yeah,
in this.
and some deep cuts, and I liked how, especially because the whole thing about one unspoken thing about Eternia is this balance between technology and magic, and they never explain it. They never have to. It's just there. It's just how this planet works. But now with this whole situation with magic being gone or scarce or dwindling away or whatever, and now technology wants to take over, and with Skeletor gone, Triclops has a great arc as this
with
filling the power vacuum of this being commanding
not
the technology.
Trapjaw, right? Is it? It's Trapjaw, right?
No, Triclops and Trapjaw was there too. Yeah, the guy with the big.
Trapjaw's kind of his lackey. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great, and Henry Rollins was the voice of Trapjaw.
So.
But
and like I said, there's a lot of interesting history.
Great world building that we never got.
The world. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, at that point, obviously, the real trick is, the fact that it's interesting that we do get Prince Adam to come back from essentially from heaven.
Preternia or whatever they call it. Yeah, whatever.
Their Preternia heaven or something like that.
Pretty much their Valhalla or whatever.
To which then obviously, Skeletor does reappear, kills Prince Adam.
And that was Evil Lynn, and because Evil Lynn and Beastman team up with the heroes to bring them back, but they were all in on it. They had to align themselves, and for a point, I thought that Evil Lynn was going to be all like, but as soon as we knew Skeletor was coming back, we know Evil Lynn's going to flip. But there was a moment where she kind of like made a face, and then she's like, okay.
I really waited for her. I really thought she might make a move and kill him and try to take over herself.
That could have been. That would have been probably her option C.
Now, I will say to you that I read something in Variety, a long article with Kevin Smith, where Prince Adam is not dead. I will tell you that now. Prince Adam is not dead.
Ivan, I need you to say something to bring the gain down on your mic.
Okay, here I am. Hello.
Hi.
So supposedly he's not dead, and I got a little bit of an idea of what the second arc's going to look like, and it'll be interesting. But it's a high recommend for me. And I wasn't really looking to. I really wasn't looking to watch it. I wasn't all that interested.
No, I had low expectations somewhat. I knew it was going to be somewhat decent, but I was worried. But this went in a totally different direction I was anticipating. And it was great action, great character moments, great acting. And so we get some of the usual suspects in the voice acting community, like Kevin Michael Richardson as Beastman, and Cree Summer. She's done a lot of voice work, and it was great. Right. And one thing I didn't know is Kevin Conroy was Merman.
And Susan Eisenberg is in there too, and she does Wonder Woman for Justice League.
Yeah, she was the sorceress.
Yep.
Wow. There's a lot of heavy hitters there.
And of course, it was awesome. They brought back Alan Oppenheimer as Mossman because he was the original Skeletor.
Wow.
And he was Merman, and he was also Man-at-Arms back in the old 80s Filmation cartoon.
Well, I think the most interesting part is we got away from the whole 80s gay vibe of He-Man of, hi, I am Chris Adam and I've got a secret. And then I turn into this buff guy who looks like an oiled up Greek god.
Even fucking Cringer had some great moments.
Yeah.
Like this is really well thought out. I'm really happy. And the cool thing about they got the Candyman Tony Todd as Scareglow, pretty much the prince of the land of the dead, or what do you want to call it?
Well, I mean, in fairness, look, let's put this in perspective. As much as there are times where I roll my eyes at Kevin Smith, he does have talent. I never have begrudged him the fact that I enjoy his movies. Yeah. I've certainly enjoyed some of the comics that he's written over the years. And it's clear that that's kind of what Mattel looked at was...
Yeah, and we know that Mattel is all like, you need to focus on these characters and this character. I know this.
Well, I get the impression they kind of gave him carte blanche.
But you have to... But I'm sure he was told by Mattel saying, we want this character and that character, we want to be sure they get at least this much screen time because we want to sell
Well, I know that initially what we're getting in the second... So I can tell you I know what we're getting in the second arc is initially what they wanted to do in the first arc. And then they came up with this idea. And to me, it kind of reminds me of Death of Superman in the fact that it's kind of like, what would a world look like without Superman?
Right.
And it's kind of a very similar concept. You know, what would Eternia look like without
turn it on its head.
Skeletor?
Right, just like in Terminator Dark Fate. What do you do when you kill John Connor? And how do you go from there?
So there's that. And
Ivan's got his he's on his sky sled.
Yep.
Until next time. They acknowledge some of the cheese. They acknowledge some of that cornball shit that they did in the 80s cartoon. Like, you know, they acknowledge that. He-Man actually said that, you're all wet, Skeletor. And it's like, yeah, so Evelyn said he had the sense of humor of a teenager or something like that.
Well, obviously, because technically he is a teenager, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I mean, so we'll get to the other side of it, which is there's definitely people who are not happy.
Yes. Haters gonna hate, man.
Well, you know what? I gotta be honest. I gotta tell you, I understand how people could sit there and have that reaction.
Yeah, I could too.
I mean, I totally get it. The part that makes me laugh is I've read comments from Kevin Smith, and I think he's really hypocritical here. Because Kevin Smith's the first one to act like a total fanboy at times about other projects. Right. And yet here he is on his project, and it's hey, you guys can go fuck yourselves. And literally he said that. That's the quote.
Wow.
I mean,
there's a lot of, and of course there's YouTube videos, people just being critical and fishing for clickbait so they can get their analysis video, tons of likes on YouTube about how this thing sucks and they probably were never going to like it anyway. And
wow.
Well, I mean, look, let's put it where it is, which is it says He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
No, it says Masters of the Universe Revelation. It does not say He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, but there's an assumption by people that
there is. Yes, you're right.
And that's what people keep saying. Well, it doesn't really. Okay, come on. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
not
the only
the
time
Tila show.
Right. Well, hey, look, there's some people who are like, hey, I didn't sign up for the Tila show.
Yeah, and I can see what this was. This went in a direction I didn't expect, and that is a way of saying this is not what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, so I get it. Again, my frustration, it's funny. The next quote is the quote that if I was Kevin Smith would have been the first quote I went with, which is, do you really think I'd have taken this project if you really think Mattel is out to kill He-Man permanently?
Yeah. I mean, they knew. Hasbro, if they took not
Hasbro, Mattel. This is not Hasbro.
I'm saying Mattel knows because What happened in 1986 when they killed Optimus Prime? There was a letter writing campaign to bring him back, and he was back in the cartoon a year later.
Yeah, well, that was just the stupidest idea ever.
It was, because they didn't realize how iconic that hero was back in the day. And this was back in the day before the internet. They had letter writing. They had parents writing letters to Hasbro saying, "Why did you kill Optimus Prime? My son loves Optimus Prime."
Yeah,
but the fact that you think, He-Man is not, He-Man ain't going anywhere.
But I do get where people can be frustrated.
Yes.
And like I understand. Said, the other part that makes me angry, the part that makes me frustrated and angry is I have listened to Kevin Smith shit all over other things on his podcast from other creators when he was not happy about it and went from as a fan.
Well, can you point an example?
I'm pretty sure he
of
shat
things that he
all
shit on?
over. I'm pretty sure he shat all over that Justice League movie.
As far as I can remember, I think he was kind of like pulling punches with his words. I know he wasn't happy with Justice League.
I mean, I know at times when he's not happy about Marvel, he'll sit there and shit all over it because he doesn't get paid by Marvel. I mean, there's a part, again, the point being is I do think it's funny for somebody who's like, people should say whatever they want, they're allowed, and fanboys are allowed, and he's the voice of the fanboy, to then turn around and tell fanboys to go fuck off. I do kind of find it a little...
Yeah,
and in fairness, I'm not shocked by...
Why would you want to go ahead back, and bite the hand that feeds you? It doesn't make
any sense. But the problem is you get people sending Kevin Smith death threats over fucking He-Man.
Yeah, well,
that's just stupid. Okay, now that's just
welcome.
Welcome to the age of the
toxic fandom. Yeah, well, welcome to toxic fandom, and it's not. Hey, it's not just the internet. It's not just the internet.
What the fuck is the internet?
I mean, well, but no, hold on a second. Before there was an internet, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks got all kinds of death threats too.
That was the early days of the internet in '99, 2000. Yeah.
I mean, before there was a real that around.
Yeah, before
that stuff happens.
Yeah, it does.
I've been at conventions where literally there are writers where they didn't like somebody didn't like an arc, and literally the person walks up to that person's table and is like, yeah, nice to meet you. Your arc on X-Men was the worst ever. I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh, thanks.
And it's like, you stood in line for an hour to tell me that I have the worst X-Men line.
Wow. No, it's because some people, they go around with that entitlement thinking they're the last word on everything, the toxic fandom,
Well, I mean, there's a level of,
everybody brings a marble go eye.
There's a level of, I don't like something and I didn't like your work. And there's but to sit there and go, I'm going to stand in line at a convention to literally tell somebody why I think they suck and their work sucks.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on a thing that happened at the record store many years ago when we were displaying art and we had this one guy who was working with us. And yeah, personally, my opinion of his work seemed better. But it's none of my business. I display it, I exhibit it. What I think of it is my own business. But this cat that we hired, unfortunately, figured, because his people were still there watching the exhibit, past the time we were going to close up the shop, he decided to take it upon himself to start turning off lights, chasing people out of the place. And then, through his frustration because he couldn't get the people out fast enough, he went after the person whose art was on the walls and told him straight up just what he thought about his fucking art.
Wow.
It was un-fucking believable. And let me tell you something. I'm sitting there saying, oh my God, damage control, huge damage control. Okay, and as soon as everyone left and everybody's busy out in front and everything like that, I looked at Julia and said, what the fuck was that? And, definitely that old boy didn't last the following day once all was said and done. But you know what? There are certain things.
There are people like Jeff said, it's this sense of entitlement from people who are so emotionally invested in this one franchise or this one media that they feel like if it's different from what I enjoy, then it's terrible and everyone should hate it. And I'm going to tell everyone why they should hate it.
Well, hey, look, the problem becomes there's a fine line between it, which is it's one thing to sit there and tell people to say something like that or to write on your Facebook page why I didn't like something or to write on the internet you don't like something. It's another, it takes another step.
Well, it's a personal approach. It personalizes it.
Well, it goes beyond that. If you're like, I'm going to go on this author's Twitter and tell them they suck, or to sit there and say, it depends. Now, again, it depends. It depends on how certain things go. Like, sometimes, and again, sometimes as fans, we're not thinking. Like, I can't remember whose Twitter I was on, and I answered something, and somebody was like, yeah, I just really wanted to celebrate this. I'm like, you're right. My fault. My apologies. My bad. And no harm, no foul. Because, you're not thinking about it that way. But the problem is that when there are people who it's like, hey, you've taken it too far. I have not taken it far enough. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. And
when you get people that come with a bone of contention attached to them, and just that whole sensibility that they feel they have the right to assault another person's, creative vibe.
But this is how you kill a franchise. By not letting newbies in. I mean, there's some people, some kid might have watched this on Netflix on his dad's account, saying, "Oh, this He-Man show is cool. I'm going to go buy an action figure next time at Walmart." And then he'll come across on this Facebook group or whatever about these 40-year-old man babies crying because it's not 1983 anymore.
Yeah. Again, there's a point to where, and I want to be clear about this. There's a point to where I get where certain people would be annoyed.
Yeah, I understand too, because it's different from what we've gotten. This is a totally different show than what we expected.
Well, it's not even that it's a totally different show. I mean, the main character ends up being Teela.
Yeah.
And on the few occasions we get to see either Adam or He-Man,
sometimes it's a flashback.
Right. But other than those, in the bigger moments, it's either he's dead or he gets killed. Or gets what we think gets killed. When really in reality he didn't get killed. But you get the point.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and in fairness, if you didn't know that he wasn't dead at the end of that episode, the final episode, which in fairness, at first my reaction was, he's dead? Oh great. Now it's basically the Teela show. I mean, what's gonna happen? Teela's gonna take the sword and it's like, I have the power. I thought we have a character like this. I thought her name was She-Ra.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting that character was not around at all.
They got to save something for another season if they make one.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, they can. And there's so many other characters. Like, I was like, of course, I cried manly tears for Roboto at the end because he's Robot. But
he's Optimus Prime's cousin.
Exactly. And there are other characters who are prominent in the cartoon, like Stratos and Ram Man and the bee guy. I think the name was probably Buzzor. I don't know, but he was a dude he dressed like a bee, pretty much, like the Saturday Night Live John Belushi bee, pretty much.
The Simpsons guy.
Yeah, Simpsons. Yeah, the
Bumblebee Man guy.
Yeah, in Spanish. Yeah, he only speaks in Spanish.
Ay caramba.
Yeah.
Brown Hornet.
But I can tell you, this blew my socks off. I was
it's
haters gonna hate, but I loved it. I give it 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, mans.
Yeah, that's good. Now I want in.
No, absolutely. I put it up there. I mean, it definitely. hey, look, I think it's interesting because you also kill a few characters in this too.
Yes.
Along the way. And all I'm going to say to that
Roboto,
is...
no, Roboto.
Well, you keep talking about Roboto, but that Orko... But that Orko...
Oh, shit.
That Orko thing is like, I'm not crying, but you're crying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But again, like I said, it's interesting because, look, let's put it where it is. This franchise was floundering. They decided to cater towards an older demographic, not the younger demographic. And in fairness, I think that there's enough buzz that younger demographics will pick this up.
Yeah, if it's good enough and it doesn't talk down to the audience, the kids will pick it up. It's good fiction.
I think the trick is, and this is where I credit Mattel, because there's somebody in Mattel who was probably going, we're not going to be able to sell this to 7, 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. There's somebody in that office who's sitting there saying that and not looking at, okay, maybe we need to aim this a little higher than what our original audience was back in the day, which was 40 years ago at this point.
Yeah. Almost 40.
Almost 40 years ago.
And it's interesting if you go back and watch the Toys That Made Us, about the He-Man episode, about how this all came to be. It gives you an interesting history of the toys. Because they pretty much just put spikes on the dude, call him Spikor. I'm like, okay, that's pretty much what they did.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that at all.
Yeah. But yeah,
bunch of stone guys in the back. Yeah. Bunch of stone guys laying in the back like Ivan going, dude, let's just call him Spikor.
Yeah, and Jason Mewes was the voice of Stinkor for like 2 lines in episode 3 or 2 or something. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I guess my frustration is that Kevin Smith makes himself out as the king of the fanboys and the king of the fans and the voice of the fans. And then when the fans don't necessarily agree with what he has to say, it's fuck you.
Hmm.
But aren't we talking with the great amount of people in Hollywood and everything else that they do that anyhow?
But we're talking about a guy who literally is like the mayor of San Diego Comic-Con would have.
Yep.
That kind of
with this. Okay.
Right. And so really in reality, this is his, that's not to say that Kevin Smith isn't able to walk in the other worlds of Hollywood like you're talking about. But in fairness, in Hollywood, Kevin Smith is not exactly, how do I put this?
He's not an A-lister. Okay, I get it.
He's not an A-lister. He's just not I wouldn't call him a C-lister either, but the point he's not.
He has influence in Hollywood.
Right, he has influence, he has an audience, but in recent years, in the last probably 20 years, his audience is a lot of, kind of your Comic-Con geekdom audience.
Yeah.
That's kind of who he plays to.
Yep.
So I do think it's kind of interesting.
That's if that's the audience he's catering to.
You play to your strengths, and those are his strengths.
Right. No, I understand. But I do think it's funny because a lot of the people who would be part of that audience are also the people who are fucking complaining about your product right now.
Yeah.
As
an executive producer on this project, he's
going to get an earful.
He's invested some time into this.
Right. Well, and that's why the second quote that I read from him was better than the first quote, which is the one he should have started with and never said the first one, which is pretty much telling fans to basically fuck you. He should have started with the first quote, which is, "Do you think I would have taken this project if it was you're here to kill He-Man, and you think Mattel really wants to kill off He-Man?"
Yeah, that's.
That's
absurd. It's absurd.
By the way, that's the only reason.
Yeah, that would have been.
By the way, that's the only reason why at the end of the 5th episode I wasn't annoyed or pissed off, was because I'm like, there's too much money involved in He-Man to have He-Man be dead. No. Although then again, I will admit, there's a part of me where I'm like, oh no, He-Man's dead, and now Teela's going to be the new He-Man. It's going to be She-Man. It's going to be She-Man.
I don't.
And she's going to have the power of Grace.
But why does that sound so bad? I mean, I don't get that though. She-Man.
Well, yeah, no, but you get the idea. I mean, the point being,
yeah. I mean,
there is a part of me. I'm not going to lie. There was a part of me where I'm like, they really could legitimately kill. I mean, that's the problem. The problem is where we are in society right now. The problem is where we are in society right now. Yeah, they could kill off He-Man. Make it a chick, and that's the end of He-Man. And that's the end of it. I can see it. I mean, I don't think they will, but I can see it.
The four non-blondes might be happy with that.
The four non-blondes?
Hey, yeah.
Oh, what's going on? Got it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's
all right. So
as long as we're on animation, did either one of you? So here's the funny part. I guess there was this should tell you how the mighty have fallen. Online Comic-Con was this weekend, apparently, for San Diego.
Who?
And, yeah, the comic, exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing that was of note or interesting is, and I think I posted a sneak peek, but not the trailer, to our Squares page, where, I guess HBO Max is developing, a cartoon called Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all the Hanna-Barbera characters.
Right, and what's interesting is...
Yogi Bear cartoons and stuff.
Well, it's interesting because it's not... Like, I'm looking at... So the interesting part is, the way they're playing it off is Yellowstone pretty much is the home. Yellowstone is a city now, and Yellowstone is kind of the home of, like, all the Hanna-Barbera characters.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're right.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because when I say all the Hanna-Barbera characters, like Johnny Quest is one of them,
and Haji is there.
Yeah, Haji's there. Yeah.
So it should be interesting.
Well, I want to see it. I want to see that because
I'll check it out. And first, when you posted it,
yeah.
Go ahead, Ivan.
I'm sorry. I'm interested in the animated style that they got it in this time out. I mean, I know that they've gone through some transformation.
It looks kind of like your Chowder kind of animation style.
Yeah, exactly. You went right to it, Mike.
Yeah.
It's got that Chowder
kind of
aesthetic
vibe.
To it in the
That's what I'm feeling.
Style. Yeah, no, and you're not off. You're not off about that. Yeah.
But you posted it. I'm like, oh boy. And there was a 2 minute.
Yeah, that was my first shot.
There's a 2-minute segment. I'm like, all right, I'll give this a look. I was like, okay. In a 2-minute segment, I was sold. This could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the trailer.
And I also heard they're really upping the ampage in the dialogue too.
Well, we'll see.
It's like I said, I didn't post the actual trailer. That I posted on my personal page, and I enjoyed it. It was funny.
Yeah.
It took me a second, but I got used to the animation. It wasn't something where...
No, it wasn't atrocious, no.
At first I was like, and then I'm like, oh, no, okay.
I see where they're going.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, and
I liked it.
Go ahead.
And I like the idea that basically we're not just going to get Yogi Bear, we're going to get pretty much
everybody.
A lot of the Hanna-Barbera. Well, although it's interesting because here's the name I didn't see listed. I didn't see Scooby Doo.
No.
I did not see Scooby Doo.
No, he's got his own thing going on.
Right. Well, it's interesting
because Scooby Doo is an ongoing project, man. I mean that's a cash cow for Warner's, Scooby Doo. So
yeah,
I also did not see.
Maybe he might have a cameo eventually. Who knows?
I also did not see.
That's the possibility. Yeah.
We also did not see Dynamite or Blue Falcon, probably because they were in the Scooby Doo movie.
Maybe.
Dude. Dynamite and Blue Falcon. You just hit the nail on the head of my thought. Let me see. I read it online that someone found the Dynamite and Scooby Doo leader films just recently, and they're gonna be displaying those on YouTube.
Okay.
It was a spot. I think it was like an opening spot, like 30 seconds, but it's been lost for like 40 years.
Wow.
So it's, it'd be a pretty exciting piece of filmography. Sorry, carry on.
Rest in peace, Gary Owens.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting though, because I guess Captain Caveman's in there, which is interesting. But that's why I thought it was interesting. No, I didn't see Blue Falcon. I didn't see Dynamite, but we did see Captain Caveman, and obviously we didn't see Scooby Doo or, like I said, I'm curious what we do get or what we don't get.
All the animal dudes, like from the Yogi Yahoos, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, Jabberjaw was in there. I saw that.
Augie Doggy and Doggy Daddy. Even El Kabong.
Oh, hey guys. Another moment. Okay, you mentioned Jabberjaw. And have you guys ever seen the Jabberjaw performance by a grunge group called Pain? Have you ever seen it?
Nope.
Nope, can't say I have.
Okay, go to YouTube, everybody. Go to YouTube.
No, well, when you're done listening to the Squares Roundtable.
When you're done listening, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying go check out Pain, and and it was the
Pain.
It was the theme to Jabberjaw, and it's put it this way, it's definitely a mind melt. But yes, definitely. Carry on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Carry on. Anything else? It looks interesting. It's on HBO Max, so I can watch it for free. I'll watch it. I still haven't watched Space Jam yet. I'll get around to it. It's there. It's on HBO Max, but I got to hurry before it leaves HBO Max. But I want to see
Actually, it was interesting. So HBO Max announced for next year that there will be 10 movies on their slate that they will release day of theaters.
Simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max for next year.
Yeah.
Jesus.
For next year. So not their whole slate, but 10, which makes sense.
Yeah, pare it down.
You know what? But you know what? It makes sense, which is, all right, fine, you take a couple months off here or there. But, my guess is somebody sat there and said, hey, you know what? Look at what we did with subscriber numbers because we did what we did.
Yeah.
And they'll pick a couple, maybe they aren't going to pick the best ones. Who knows what they're going to pick? But, it's been helpful for them to do it. It certainly hasn't hurt their subscriber base. It's helped it a lot. And they didn't have the programming at the time. This has helped them while they create programming too. So, it doesn't hurt to sit there and go, hey, you know what? We're not going to do our entire slate. We're just going to do 10. And who knows which 10 they'll be.
I think, well, you know what? I'm sure the people doing research and being the strategic people that they are in, promotion and all that other shit, I'm sure they're going to put their money where their mouth is. But yeah, you figure less is more. Yeah, 10 is a very modest number. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Also, Paramount Plus gave us another trailer for season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that looks good. Looks fun. It's and if they continue the story from season 1.
It's funny. I have that for a few more days. Paramount Plus.
I think it's sometime. I think it's either August or September.
I've had no desire to check out to check out Lower Decks at all. I just haven't.
Yeah, once you get past the first episode and you start, getting more of these character beats from the main characters, it helps because the first episode was like, yeesh, I don't know. But then by the time I was at episode 3 or 4, I was like, okay, I get what this is. I get it. It finds its footing by the end of the first season.
All right, fair enough.
But you gotta, like I said, that first episode is kind of iffy.
Dodgy.
Yeah. What else? Dan Aykroyd posted on his social media that we're getting a Ghostbusters trailer tomorrow. So
never fails. After the show's already been posted.
After we record. So.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
Did you guys? I know I tagged you guys to that. That interview with David
Hollywood
Goyer.
Reporter article. About one guy.
David Goyer.
Yeah, I bookmarked
So David Goyer, just to give perspective. So David Goyer, his I mean, some of the stuff just to give perspective. He was involved in Blade, The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, The Tomorrow War. He is. He's been involved.
He's deep in the hoopla.
Yeah.
Well, the point being is that he's been involved in a lot of amazing, interesting projects over the years. I mean, everything from Terminator Dark Fate,
which wasn't bad. Which it was I'd say probably the best Terminator film we've gotten since T2.
Constantine, the original Constantine film, Krypton, Da Vinci's Demons. Like I said, that just to give you some ideas of some of the pieces. Back in the day, he was writing Justice Society of America with Jeff Johns at one point, and it was probably the best run I've ever read of Justice Society. But it's interesting because he takes some interesting comments about.
It's a long interview, but it's on the
Hollywood Reporter.com. It's a long interview, but it's good. And it's an interesting interview because talks he's talking a lot about DC stuff, about where they're at with this, and he's not shy about it. Oh, and he's working on the upcoming Sandman with Neil Gaiman.
So he's very explicit in the interview,
right? Well, and I think it's interesting because Goyer says something very interesting about it, which is apparently when Goyer got involved with the Sandman project, Goyer's reaction is, "I'm not doing this without Neil Gaiman." So apparently, at some point, for all this time, Warner Brothers has been basically trying to pitch or create a Sandman project without pretty much having Neil Gaiman do it.
Why?
I don't know. It's kind of again. This goes back to
But this guy Goyer knows better. He's got to.
Well,
you would think.
No. Goyer's got a pretty good track record. It's just a matter of there's been some stuff where, again, it's funny.
Is this just like a case of everybody coming to a common ground?
Well, I think it's funny. Here's. So they asked him. DC has had some ups and downs in recent years, especially compared to Marvel. If you were running DC, his next before they could say it anymore. He says, "Which I'd never do.
I never want to do.
I never do."
Yeah. So he doesn't want the job because that's. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It'd be a tough gig for anyone.
Yeah, that's the fuck you moment. Got it.
No, it's he knows better that it's a big mess.
Right, it's not a fuck you
chaos. It's a fucked up chaos.
It's not a fuck you because he's still doing stuff with Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that.
All right, but maybe you just got different feelings on.
But they ask him, what moves would you make to fix DC right now?
He talks about the fact that Ant-Man feels like Ant-Man. The Hulk feels like the Hulk. They don't try to. What is the quote? They don't try to change things up. I would say try to hew closer to what was the original intent. So it's having consistent universe, having consistently, and staying close to the source material.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the source setups of it, of all the characterizations.
Yeah.
Well, and he talks a lot about the IP and how to handle certain things. Like literally, where was it? There was something that he talks about. Let's see. Oh, here. This is interesting. He says, what is the best superhero film of all time? And he says that his top four are Dark Knight, Logan, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Thor Ragnarok.
I would not agree with that list, but they're still all respectable films.
Right. Again, it's interesting to hear his
his favorites. Yeah.
or what his favorites are. And again, there's some interesting talk about Zack Snyder and linking Dark Knight with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. Apparently, this is the interesting one, Mike, that you'll get a kick out of. So apparently, the role of Seg L, Goyer wanted Roger Jean Page, that guy from Bridgerton, the guy that all the women were like swooning over in Bridgerton. They wanted him to be
the young granddad of Superman.
Yep.
Yeah, that show had such potential. And so sad.
Yep. Well, I just think it's interesting because that guy's like the hot name now.
Yeah.
Because of that Bridgerton thing. But it was funny because they wanted
him, but he didn't.
Well, no, Goyer wanted him, and nobody else wanted him, which is hysterical. It's interesting to hear too that Goyer. Literally, if I read this article and I'm Marvel, I'm making a phone call to Goyer about writing. Because Goyer's like, I want to write the Hulk.
At least DC had enough sense to get James Gunn when he was temporarily furloughed from Marvel because of his tweets or whatever. They got him for Suicide Squad, and that's coming soon too.
Yeah, I thought there was some interesting stuff in here too.
Reads coming out, folks.
What? I'm sorry, Ivan?
I said we got some tasty reads coming out soon.
Yeah, there's some stuff down the pike I can't wait for. This Thursday is the Kingdom for Transformers, the finale of this trilogy they've done on the Netflix animated series. There's other stuff.
I said.
Yeah, but this Goyer interview is really interesting. If anyone should sit and give it a good read.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's stuff on Dark Fate. There's stuff on Tomorrow War. It's interesting because it's funny. One of the things that Goyer talks about Tomorrow War is, the white spikes were supposed to be like hunting game, like as in if you brought in like to be hunted, and obviously they crash landed here. So here's the question: who would hunt things like this, or what would hunt things like that?
Well, if you watch the Tomorrow War, you'd know that, they go into, spoilers, they go into a spaceship and there are some alien-looking pilots who had these white spikes in a tank.
Yep.
So they were cargo. They weren't the ones who were flying the ship that crash-landed on Earth and caused this near extinction of the human race.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's obviously they set it up for a sequel, but yeah, that's the true that they've got it set up for. Yeah, these white spikes are nothing compared to what's coming.
Yeah. Let's see what else real fast. So apparently Matt Ryan's going to stay with Legends of Tomorrow for next season, but will no longer be John Constantine. And once again, this is because they're developing Constantine projects elsewhere in Warner Brothers, so we can't have John Constantine on the CW.
Why not?
Because
you can't have a hero in more than one place. That's dumb.
This is the crazy DC again. This is the crazy Warner Brothers shit again.
Yep.
And it makes me sit there and wonder. It answers a lot of questions as to why certain characters are not getting used in certain ways or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Or like, for example, Legends of Tomorrow should literally be a carousel of anybody DC. And it's like, why do they have to keep creating their own characters in this thing? Yeah. Oh, I know why. They probably are being told constantly what they can't use. So apparently, so Snake Eyes came out this weekend and nobody watched it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Nobody watched it.
No. I know I didn't have any interest in it.
I didn't either. And I think in reality, they're going to need to re-examine what their thought process is.
The G.I. Joe franchise has had a lot of trouble over the last few years. There's videos. G.I. Joe was the first action figure.
Right.
Because it paralleled Barbie. And then in the 70s, when the Vietnam War came, then G.I. Joe kind of went away. And then in the 80s, when we had patriotism and evil empire Russia and Reaganomics and all that shit. Then in the 80s, patriotism came, and then G.I. Joe came back, And then when the 90s came, G.I. Joe kind of fell out again. And then after the success of the 07 Transformers film, Hasbro said, let's do crossovers. And there had been tons of crossovers with G.I. Joe and other Hasbro franchises. But they tried to bring it back, and they did the live-action movies. And then the second one they had to send back because it was in horrible shape. And they tested awful in screens. They had to reshoot a bunch of stuff, and then it didn't sync in line with the toy line when it eventually came out in theaters. And yeah, the G.I. Joe franchise is in trouble. It's been in trouble for a long time, and this does not help.
Nope.
No, and then they're going to need to rethink what they do with this.
Yeah.
They really would. I mean, in fairness, they might be smart to combine the franchise with Transformers. Maybe that's
from
the
what
way
I understand, that's what Hasbro wanted to do, but Michael Bay didn't want any of it. That's from what I hear.
Well,
because
he's gone now.
Yeah, well, he's gone now. So if whatever comes from maybe this sequel that the Transformers is going to be, it's the Rise of the Beasts coming in next year. Maybe they can tie in some G.I. Joe and build from that. Maybe. But yeah, the G.I. Joe is there's.
And I think that's part of where I think the IP needs to change too is, it's funny, like you just said, in the 60s, G.I. Joe was just one figure.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, it turned into an entire team.
It was a whole team, and there was.
And they were fighting Cobra, and I gotta be honest, there's a part of me where I'm like, is that really what would turn people on in this day and age?
Well,
is G.I. Joe fighting Cobra, or would G.I. Joe? What if G.I. Joe was fighting giant space aliens and stuff like that? And
they have in certain parts. I think of the 3 3/4 Joe line, there were They did fight aliens for a short while. But the thing is, when G.I. Joe was revamped in the 80s, Larry Hama, who was writing G.I. Joe for Marvel, said, we need a good villain to fight G.I. Joe.
Which made sense.
That's why he came up with Cobra.
Right, but maybe now it's time to retire Cobra.
Yeah, because Cobra is a terrorist organization, and terrorism doesn't play well nowadays.
Or you need something else that does play well.
Right.
But
what would that be? We don't know.
Well, aliens, Decepticons, Could
be. Yeah. There's a few things they could pick, true, but what will work, we don't know.
Let's see.
Meanwhile, I don't know.
So Michael B. Jordan is developing a separate Black Superman project for HBO Max.
Okay. I'd be okay with that.
I guess DC is going to do an Injustice animated movie.
I still got to watch The Long Halloween.
Let's see.
The animated came out.
I stand corrected. 10 Warner Brothers films straight to streaming in 2022. I don't know if that. I have to go back and look at that means what I think it means.
Okay.
Trying to see what else. We talked about G.I. Joe for a second. Apparently, Netflix is creating a live-action Pokemon series.
Okay.
Why?
I'm surprised they didn't springboard off of that Detective Pikachu.
I heard
it wasn't too
bad. That was horrible.
I heard
it
really
wasn't bad.
I don't know. I didn't.
I saw it. It was bad.
Okay.
I mean, it was.
Okay.
It was, and it was funny. It had potential to be very, very good.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And it wasn't.
Oh.
It was pretty much Ryan Reynolds.
Trailer. Okay.
It was pretty much all in the trailer and Ryan Reynolds trying to be Ryan Reynolds without saying the word fuck.
Right.
I mean, literally, it was
and that Free Guy is coming next month, too, so.
No.
There's a lot of new stuff coming down the pike.
Except it won't be free.
No.
And it's funny, on the Squares page, we also have an article on the fact that Howard the Duck turns 35, and there's a in-depth Hollywood Reporter.
You mean, is that the anniversary of the live-action film?
Yep.
Oof.
Oh my God.
That was.
But apparently there's a little bit of an in-depth thing on it.
Oh boy.
Oh, but Leah Thompson was still pretty hot in that.
Yeah, no, she was.
That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
That
was the only good part of that film.
That was the saving grace of it. Girl band, all that. Just.
Yeah.
I went out.
Wasn't there a song, Howard the Duck? I don't know. Whatever.
All right. We got anything else?
I don't know. Do we got anything else? I mean,
that's all I got.
No, that's me too.
Like I said, I mean, really, kind of He-Man. Kind of He-Man was the big thing this weekend for if you were talking about Geek World. Is
Yeah. And I dug it.
I'm
looking forward to part 2.
I am as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, Ivan, you need to check that out on Netflix.
I will do that.
You go, as soon as we are done here, you should go on Netflix right now and watch episode 1. It's half-an-hour episodes. Come on.
The problem is if Ivan watches episode 1, he'll be up all night. Guess he'll just end up
He's
watching
up all night anyway.
That's true.
Yeah. When he's not on Twitch.tv, that's Java and Ivan. That's where he spins. And, of course, he's on Spinning Wheel on Facebook. And
does he spin right round?
He spins right round. Right round.
And of course, in Chicago, I'll be at Kohl's August 1st. Okay, from 9 to 2. And,
get me some mittens.
Yep. Kohl's. This is all in Milwaukee, folks.
COLES. Yes.
That's right. Across the street of Cafe Mustang, 2313 North Milwaukee. And I'll be there on the 6th for the first Friday of August presentation. Going to be doing Wicked 80 Sounds. And that's what will be happening for that occasion. And that's pretty much...
Is it more like a kind of a Boston Wicked? Like a Wicked... We're going to be doing Wicked 80s.
Well, this might be, it might be getting some of the more heavy-duty stuff, the 80s stuff, more kind of rocky, more punky, that
Not just Mundo 80s, it's Wicked 80s.
It's Wicked 80s. So, that's where we're going with that, and that's where I'm going to be happening. Hey, Jeff, what are you going to be doing?
I think the only thing I've really got going on this coming weekend is... Sunday Night Stories will be on Clubhouse on Sunday night. It is 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, 8:30 Mountain, 7:30 Pacific. And we'll have 4 storytellers to come in and tell some stories. We had a really great show on this past Sunday. We had the hosts from the 1 Minute Mike show on Clubhouse as our storytellers, and that was a lot of fun. It was a blast. And we're always looking to have people come in and talk and tell stories and do their thing. I'll probably be on Clubhouse in a couple of places. And, other than that, I expect it to be kind of I think it'll be somewhat of a quiet week. Oh, I know why it's going to be a quiet weekend. I'm getting a tooth pulled on Thursday, so probably won't be doing much of anything for a few days. So
I got some needle nose pliers. I could do it and save you some money.
Oh my God, you'd save me a lot of money, but no. When I heard how much this is going to cost, I just about died.
Oh, you poor dude. Oh.
With that kind of money, we could actually have people listen to the show.
Yeah.
All you people out there, I know you listen.
You can still listen for free. We're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're there for free. You can click the bell and you know when new episodes drop. And, of course, you listen on your usual free podcast hosting platforms, Google, Apple, Spotify, Anchor.fm/SOTRT. And, of course, we know where Jiven is. Jeff is everywhere at Steinamite Productions. Check him out on Clubhouse as well. And, of course, follow us on Facebook for our articles and memes and jokes and all our funny stuff that we share. Email us at sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. That'll do episode 158.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good time, you hear? We'll catch up with you on the next one, y'all.
Ding.
Bye, Bucky Litchits. or Dusty fucking Dick Fellow.
Dusty Dick.
Or...
The Duck of Death.
Duck of Death. There we go.
Duck of Death.
I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Was it from Unforgiven?
Maybe it's sponsored by the South Harmon Institute of Technology. Ask me about my wiener.
And with that we're done.
Dusty Wood.
No, we're duck and done. The Duck of Death.
The Duck of Death is as good as done.